Hello everybody, thank you for joining me at English for Writing Business Emails. My name is Brian Stewart, and in this video I'd like to give you an overview of the lessons or the content that you can find in the book by the same name, English for Writing Business Emails, and in the following video lectures on this YouTube channel. Basically, this book, the materials in this book are a compilation or a collection of materials I've been using in workshops for Korean business professionals to help them improve their skills at writing business emails in English. And I've divided the book and the video lessons into three basic parts, part 1, part 2, and part 3. In part 1, we go over the basics of email writing. That's units 1 to 5. In part 2, we take a look at some example emails, units 6 through 14. And in part 3, that's a reference section, that's unit 15. Let me give you a brief rundown of the various units to give you a better idea of what I mean by these different parts. First of all, we have basics. In Unit 1, we take a look at student email, and by the way, I do this quite a lot. There are a lot of student emails that I've reproduced in this book exactly how I've received them. The reason I do that is because I'd like to go over these student emails with you to point out the mistakes that students are making. And of course, my intention for doing so is that these mistakes are very common. I see them again and again. So I hope that by going over mistakes that students are making, you can avoid making those same mistakes for your email. And of course, I changed all the names, the company names, and the individuals' names in the email. It's, of course, not my intention to embarrass anybody, but it is my intention to show that, hey, these are typical or common mistakes that people are making. Avoid them. This is how you can correct them. This is how you can avoid them. And this is what I would suggest to do instead. So we use that sample email as an introduction into basic email format. For example, what should emails look like? And what are the different parts? And what are some techniques that you can use to achieve a good professional looking email? So we take a look at that in Unit 1. In Unit 2, we go over a lot of common mistakes that are made by Korean business professionals. You might call these types of mistakes Konglish mistakes. And of course, most of them concern vocabulary. Now, I've been doing this for several years, and at the beginning of almost every course that I teach on emails, I can already pretty accurately predict which mistakes my students are going to make, because again, I see these mistakes again and again, and I'm talking about vocabulary mistakes or using a certain expression in a strange or awkward way. Of course, I'd like to point out these issues with you so that you can avoid them in your next email. First of all, we need to recognize that these are mistakes. Second, we need to learn how to correct them. And third, I'll give you exercises so that you can practice them. So hopefully next time you write an email in English, you'll avoid those common Konglish types of mistakes. We also go over some awkward expressions. There aren't technically incorrect, but they just sound awkward to a native speaker. So that you can find a lot of that information in Unit 2. In Unit 3, we talk about collocations. What are collocations? Well, collocations are basically common expressions in a language used for casual conversation, speaking, writing, whatever. But we are going to focus on common collocations used in business emails, because that is our focus for this video series and also for the book. In Unit 4, we discuss tone, because of course this is very important, and it's a little bit difficult when you're learning a new language to strike the right tone so that you don't sound aggressive. Right? When we learn a new language, we usually use the simple, direct ways to communicate, because those are the easier ways, those are the easier vocabulary, easier expressions that we learn right away. They're not always appropriate, especially for business settings, and especially when you're writing a business email, because the other person can't see you. They can't see your face, they can't see your body language, they can't read you. All they have is the words on the paper, so it's important to strike the right tone, and we'll discuss how to do that in Unit 4. And hopefully I'll offer you a lot of techniques for doing so. In Unit 5, we go over basic writing tips. I want to share some of them. Of course, it's not a very comprehensive course, just some basic tips to help you make your writing more effective. And these are useful whether English is your native language or not. So hopefully these will help you write more efficient and more professional business emails. In Part 2, Units 6 through 14, we will take a look at various emails that are written for specific purposes in mind. For example, let's say you want to introduce yourself to someone you don't know. You're writing them an email for the first time, and perhaps you're contacting them or following up on a lead, and you want to introduce your company, your products, your services. How would you do that? How would you respond to such an email? So those kinds of things we take a look at in Units 6 and 14. We take a look at, how to write a complaint, how to ask somebody for a status update, how to invite somebody to your conference or your symposium. In most of these units, we do take a look at student emails that I've had written and submitted to me in my workshops. And again, the intention is to take a look and identify common mistakes and to correct them. There are also, of course, example emails that don't have any mistakes in them and that serve as an example for what you want to achieve. And I hope we can pick up a lot of good vocabulary and some strategies for organizing your information and for learning some good expressions to use for certain purposes throughout these emails. In Unit 15, in the reference section, I hope this is useful for you because I want to share with you some online resources that I use when I have a question in English. Of course, I've been doing this for quite a long time. I've been speaking English for all my life, but sometimes students will ask questions and I'll be like, I'm not sure about that. So let me check on the internet. And I've kind of developed or acquired a good list of online resources that I'd like to share with you so that you can continue your education long after you finish this book or your video course. And whether you're taking this as part of a workshop or a college course, you can continue learning and you can continue exploring the English language and seeing, how do people approach this question. And, sometimes some of these questions, even native speakers aren't sure about. And of course, there are different regions: British English, American English, Oceanic English, right? So there might be differences between those two, and hopefully these resources will help you clear up some of the confusion perhaps that you might have when encountering English spoken in different regions of the world. Also in the reference section, there's some extra information that I presented earlier in the book, but maybe expanded lists of vocabulary, or for example, an expanded list of phrasal verbs or prepositions plus adjectives. And of course, a few more exercises as well to help you learn those and remember those ideas. So basically, that is the content of the book and of the video lectures that you will find on this channel. So if you want to make sure you get all the lectures, subscribe to this channel so that you can see a good list of all the different video lectures. And please remember that in the book, you can easily find the video lecture that is associated with the material on particular pages by using the QR code at the top of many pages. For example, Unit 4, if you want to start there, just scan this code in with your cell phone and it will take you right to the YouTube video that concerns this information. And you can continue along until the next QR code, and that's the end of the lesson and the beginning of the next lesson. So I hope that this is a quick and easy, handy reference for you to quickly find the information, a lecture that is based on the information in the book. And of course, if you're interested in purchasing the book, the best way to do so right now is to send me an email, and I'll put the email address below this video, so please check that out. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening to this overview of the book and the lectures. I hope that the book will be a useful resource for you the next time that you write a business email in English. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the next video lectures. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.